Hello, welcome. I'm Nate Torres, and this is my cultural artifact speech. When you think of Mexico, I'm sure you'll think of many things. You'll think of guitars, you'll think of cacti, you'll think of the music, you'll think of Dia de los Muertos, and you'll think of the sombrero. The sombrero is traditionally a Mexican rancher's hat. It is made with straw or felt, and it is associated with mariachi music and charro culture. Learning about the significance of the sombrero as it represents Mexican culture will give you a deeper understanding of Mexican culture. First, I will explain the significance of the sombrero representing the Mexican culture, and secondly, I will explain to you how I identify with Mexican culture. In Mexico, the sombrero represents ranch work. It represents the hard work and the resilience of rural workers who shaped Mexican farmlands and who shaped Mexican culture as it is today. The sombrero protected ranchers. It covers the head, it covers the shoulders, it covers the face, and it covers the neck. It protected Mexican ranch workers through long days of working fields, riding horses, and tending to the fields in general. The sombrero is also representative of the charros. The charros are Mexican horsemen. You can think of them like cowboys. In the way cowboys represent the American Wild West today, charros represent the history of Mexico. They were skilled horsemen with equestrian skills who wore sombreros, who wore fancy outfits, and they were a very important part of Mexican culture and history, especially back in the 1800s and 1900s. The sombrero also represents mariachis. It is the distinctive headpiece of the traje de charro, which is the outfit of a mariachi player. Mariachi players would sport a sombrero, they would sport a traje de charro, and they would sport an instrument. They would play the guitar, they would play the trumpet, or they would play the trombone. They would play multiple different instruments to fully orchestrate a mariachi ensemble. The sombrero connects Mexican mariachi history to the rich history of the sombrero due to the fact that it was worn by mariachis and it's been worn by mariachis since the history of mariachis. My brother and I used to wear the sombrero on Halloween and sport a traje de charro and play fake instruments, just kind of to represent our culture. And when we would do that, we really felt prideful of our culture, and we were proud that we were able to sport a headpiece of our Mexican culture. Now that I've explained the significance of the sombrero as it represents Mexican culture, I will explain how I identify with Mexican culture. To me, the sombrero represents my origins. It represents my family history, and it represents the sacrifices that my ancestors made to contribute to the opportunities that my family and I enjoy today. I was born in West Covina to Hispanic parents, and I grew up mainly in a Hispanic region of Azusa, California. My grandparents immigrated from Mexico and Guatemala, and they settled in the San Gabriel Valley, and they started their family. Now I have relatives from Mexico and Guatemala who live up and down the state of California, and I have family members who still live in those areas like Mexico, Mexico City, and Guatemala. And I really feel proud that my grandparents were able to make such a strong sacrifice to give my family and I the opportunities we enjoy today of living in Southern California, and they really made a big sacrifice by immigrating here from those dangerous countries. My strong connection to my Mexican and Guatemalan heritage is what prompted me to speak about my culture today, and my sombrero really helps me connect to that culture. Unfortunately, although I don't wear my sombrero often, I still feel proud to own it. I've worn it in many different situations, on Halloween, at parties. I've even completed it with a trumpet and a traje de charro, as I mentioned earlier, to really complete the outfit. And I feel proud that I'm able to use the sombrero to represent my heritage and my Mexican and Guatemalan roots today. When I wear my sombrero, it is a reminder to never lose sight of my heritage, my roots, and the sacrifices that my ancestors made to give my family the opportunities we enjoy today. Today, I told you a little bit about the importance of the sombrero in Mexican culture. First, I told you about the significance of the sombrero and what it represents in Mexican culture. Second, I told you how I identify with Mexican culture. I hope that you learned something interesting about my culture today. While I've unfortunately never been to Mexico or Guatemala, where my family is from, one day I hope to travel to both countries and really understand the cultural significance of what my hat carries and really understand the culture that my family comes from. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you remember the rich history behind the sombrero as it relates to charro culture and mariachis music. Have a good day.